Every morning, millions of dog owners do the same thing. They grab their keys, maybe say a quick goodbye, and walk out the door. And their dog watches them go. Standing at the window or sitting by the door, or just frozen in the hallway staring at the space where you just were. And then the door closes. Have you ever wondered, really wondered, what happens next? Not just what your dog does, but what they actually experience. What's firing inside their brain in those first minutes after you leave? What does that silence feel like to them? And does it get better as the hours pass? Or does something else entirely take over? Because science has actually started to answer these questions. And what researchers have found is more emotionally complex, more neurologically fascinating, and honestly, more heartbreaking than most people expect. This is what happens inside your dog's brain when you leave the house. It starts before you even touch the door handle. Dogs are pattern recognition machines. Their entire survival toolkit, built over tens of thousands of years of living alongside humans, is finely tuned to read us, our body language, our routines, our micro-behaviors, things we don't even notice about ourselves. The specific way you move when you're about to leave is something your dog has cataloged with extraordinary precision. The alarm going off at a certain time, the smell of coffee followed by the sound of a shower, shoes being put on, keys being picked up, bag being zipped. Each one of these is a data point your dog has connected through repetition to one outcome. You're about to disappear. So by the time you're actually walking toward the door, your dog's brain has already begun its stress response. Cortisol, the primary stress hormone, starts to rise. Heart rate increases. Some dogs begin pacing. Others go very still. Some whine or follow you from room to room in those final minutes, not to be annoying, but because every instinct they have is telling them that something significant is about to happen, and they cannot stop it. This pre-departure anxiety is real, measurable, and in sensitive dogs, it can begin up to 30 minutes before you actually leave. Your dog isn't being dramatic. Their brain is genuinely sounding an alarm. Then you leave. And this is where it gets genuinely complex. In the immediate minutes after departure, the first 5 to 30 minutes, is when a dog's stress response typically peaks. Studies using cameras and physiological monitors have shown that this window is the most emotionally intense part of the entire separation period for most dogs. Heart rates spike. Vocalizations are most frequent. Destructive behavior, when it happens, almost always happens here. Why this window specifically? Because your dog's brain is running a program it cannot override. You, the most important, most comforting, most central figure in their world, have vanished. And unlike a human who can think, "They'll be back at 6," your dog has no clear concept of future time. They don't know if you're coming back in an hour or ever. They only know that you were here, and now you're not. And that gap between those two states registers in their brain in a way that is functionally very similar to what we would call grief or panic. The amygdala, the part of the brain that processes fear and emotional responses, becomes highly active during this period. This is the same brain region that lights up in humans during anxiety and loss. Your dog isn't overreacting. Their brain is doing exactly what a social mammal's brain does when separated from its most important attachment figure. For dogs with more severe separation anxiety, what happens next can be genuinely distressing to learn about. These dogs don't settle after those first intense minutes. Instead, their nervous system stays elevated, sometimes for the entire duration of your absence. They pace, they vocalize, they destroy things not out of boredom or misbehavior, but in a desperate attempt to self-regulate an emotional state they have no tools to manage. Some dogs stop eating entirely. Some injure themselves trying to get through doors or windows. But even in dogs without clinical separation anxiety, the emotional landscape of being alone is not neutral. It's something they endure, not something they're indifferent to. The difference is in the intensity and their individual ability to cope. And that coping ability is shaped by genetics, early life experience, the strength of their bond with you, and how predictable their daily routine feels. A dog with a secure, consistent routine and a deeply trusting relationship with their owner will still find separation hard, but they have an internal resource to draw on, a kind of emotional memory that says, "This has happened before, and they came back." That memory doesn't eliminate the stress, but it softens it. Now here's something that might genuinely surprise you. Researchers studying dog behavior during owner absence have found that many dogs spend a significant portion of their alone time sleeping, but not always the deep, restorative sleep of a relaxed animal. It's often lighter, more fragmented sleep, the kind where they startle at sounds, where they reposition frequently, where they're resting but never fully switching off. And almost universally, one behavior shows up consistently across studies. Dogs frequently return to the spot where their owner was last present. They lie on your side of the bed. They curl up near the door you left through. They seek out clothing or objects that carry your scent most strongly. Your scent is, neurologically speaking, the most powerful comfort signal your dog has access to when you're gone. The olfactory part of a dog's brain, the part dedicated to processing smell, is proportionally enormous compared to a human's. And your specific scent activates the same neural pathways associated with safety, bonding, and calm. Your old sweatshirt on the floor isn't just fabric to them. It's the closest thing to you that exists in the room. It's what they press their face into when the absence gets heavy. Then something shifts, usually somewhere between 1 and 3 hours into your absence, depending on the individual dog. The acute stress begins to lower slightly, not because they've stopped missing you, but because the nervous system simply cannot maintain peak activation indefinitely. The body enforces a kind of exhausted settling. This is when you'll see longer sleep periods on home cameras, less pacing, less vocalization. A dog who has, in some quiet physiological way, learned to wait. But waiting is not the same as being okay, and this distinction matters enormously. And then you come home. You've seen what happens, the eruption of the whole body, the sounds, the inability to contain themselves. People often laugh at this, and it is joyful, genuinely, beautifully joyful. But it is also the release of hours of accumulated tension. The nervous system that has been holding on, waiting, enduring, finally gets to let go. What looks like pure excitement is also, in a very real neurological sense, relief. Your return is the resolution of a story that has been running in your dog's brain since the moment you left. So what do you do with all of this? You can't stop leaving. Life requires it. But understanding what your dog goes through changes how you move through those departures and returns. It means not making your goodbyes overly emotional and drawn out, because high emotional energy in those final moments amplifies the stress spike that follows. It means building a routine your dog can rely on, because predictability is one of the most powerful anxiety regulators a dog has. It means leaving something with your scent on it. It means considering enrichment that engages their brain during your absence. Puzzle feeders, long-lasting chews, things that give them a positive focus in those first critical minutes. And it means coming home with the understanding of what your dog just carried for you. Because they waited. for hours in a quiet house with no certainty you were coming back. They waited anyway. If that isn't love, patient, unconditional, biologically profound love, then I'm not sure what is.